What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bible Bites, where you get Bible truth line by line in context in 5-minute lessons. Let's go. All right, so we left off last time with Romans 7:22, and we came to this conclusion that just because you're saved, it does not eliminate your manner of men, your natural flesh desires, okay? It does not get rid of it. There's something else going on, but you're going to have to struggle with sin for your entire life. How big of a struggle is it? Well, the Apostle Paul, who wrote most of the New Testament, struggles hard with sin. So let that sink in. All right, let's go. Romans 7:23. Now, Paul addresses this alternative law. Okay, we see that this law pertains to what he calls my members. So members, is the flesh, the body, physical. But there's another law that exists, the law of Paul's mind. Remember, Romans 2:15, the heart, the conscience, thoughts are where unrighteous or righteous actions spring from. And circumcision happens by cutting away our spirit, our heart from our body and what it does, okay? And sin is trapped in the body using the law to get around. But both these laws are at war with each other. So what are they fighting over? And the answer is the captivity of Paul. Now remember, Romans 6:16 through 19 taught us about masters, sin, obedience, and a captive has a captor, a master, but a captive must be freed. So by context, we have learned how Christ's gospel frees us from sin. Well, this law that's in his members, our members, brings Paul into captivity to the law of sin. All right. Now, I don't think we've outright spoken about a law of sin yet so far, but we have a ton of context to make it stick, okay? But the law in particular is when we want to do good, evil is always with us, all right? Now, notice Paul is saying all this in what appears to be so far present tense. This is a present tense condition, a struggle, all right? Let's keep going. Romans 7:24. Now, Paul again, in present tense, he says, "Oh, wretched man that I am." All right. And he means business. There's an exclamation mark at the end of that sentence. OK, the Bible doesn't use a lot of different punctuation other than periods. So when you see something like an exclamation mark, they really mean this. So he means this. "Oh, wretched man." That's Paul talking about himself, stating a present condition as a believer. Right. He's warring with sin. And Paul cries out, "Who shall save me?" So now Paul is asking for a person to save him, reinforcing that there's this fight going on that Paul cannot fight on his own. No matter who he is, he cannot do it on his own. But second, what is Paul asking to be saved from? Well, the body of this death, or his flesh, right? That's where sin lives, and he wants to be rid of it. He wants to be gone. Okay, so Romans 7:25. Now, Paul answers, "Who can deliver me?" So we know it's Jesus Christ, but Paul thanks God through Christ for this person, Jesus, capable of doing what he couldn't do. And by context, because of Jesus, Paul now has a new state of being. Check this out. With the mind, Paul serves the law of God. Remember, Romans 1:21, we didn't like to glorify nor thank God, which notice he's thanking God here through Christ, but we became vain in our imaginations, and those vain imaginations darkened our foolish hearts. So now with the mind, Paul is serving the law of God, but previously all we had were vain imaginations. And we know from our other videos that prior to Christ, all we were living for was death, vanity. Okay, so this indicates that Paul's thoughts are no longer restricted, right? Held captive by vain imaginations. He's free. But check this out. With the flesh, Paul serves the law of sin. Now, you couldn't get any more clear of a case for the dual naturedness of Christians after salvation. We have a dual nature, and Paul is saying you are going to struggle with sin. All right. Now, remember Romans 7:18, Paul was asking how to perform, right? The good that he would do, he doesn't know how to perform it. But here he shifted away from the how and he's gone to a whom. So you are now seeing very subtly here that there's no works involved, no works of the law involved here. Okay. It cannot get you there. It will not get you to salvation. It will not deliver you from your body of sin. So the only thing that's doing it is the Spirit of God through the gospel of Jesus Christ. And that's where we're going to pause. I love you guys. This is Bible Bites. Chew on that. Let it sink in. I hope this helps a little bit in your day. I'm going to record another one. Talk to you later.